All right, let me talk a little bit about this picture. This is the seminary classroom that I taught in for a week, 4 hours a day, no air conditioning, and probably 95-degree weather, although it was actually pretty nice that time of year. But there were 50 students that were both students from the seminary, first, second, third, and fourth year. And also on the right-hand side, you see some older individuals, and they are pastors, elders, and missionaries out in different places in Myanmar. And the subject that I was asked to talk on for a week was church planting. Can you understand why I was excited to go there? God has put in my heart so strongly that we ought to be about starting new churches wherever God's kingdom is working, wherever He leads us to the next step. And so while we were there, this whole week long, we talked about what does it look like to start new churches? And how do we go about that? And what does it look like in your culture? At the end of the week, we took some pictures with these guys who are either missionaries or missionary interns. The two that are not holding that object I'll describe in a minute, those two are missionaries up in a place called the Rakhine region, which is on the coast of the Bay of Bengal. I want to say just a little bit about this guy. The second from the left in the background, do you see him? That older looking individual. He is a man who was in a village, was being persecuted for his faith, but his church was growing. He finally had to leave. He went to another village, started talking about what he believes, and in this case, about 800 people from the village, including and led by a Buddhist monk, came to his house and threatened him with his life. The monk slashed his forehead with a knife and said, "If you don't get out of here in the next week, we're going to kill you." So he left, but because of his commitment to spreading the word, he came back. And when he came back, can you imagine the risk to his life? He came back under that risk, and by God's grace, a church started to come about, to blossom, and it started to really grow. And so these three interns are holding something called an e-reader, which is something made here in the United States. And it's an electronic device, solar powered, so it doesn't require any electricity. You turn it on and you have the Bible in the Burmese language. And you have something called the Jesus movie. Maybe some of you have heard of it. The Jesus movie that tells a story about who Jesus Christ is. So they can take this device into these far unreachable areas. You access it only by water or walking. And they go into these villages and they share the love of Christ using these e-readers. And these three guys who are holding them have just graduated this year from the seminary. They were in the class with me and they're going off to be part of it. This is a picture of the platform area. It would be like here over the platform area for the first graduation. This is the seminary's first graduation, and I was privileged to speak at it. This gives you an idea of the height of the people. Beth, remember I told you you'd be about as tall as a lot of them? This is a graduate, and on the left, my right, is his mother. Right? That's his mother?
Yeah, that's his mother.
So she had come a long way for this. There were 12 students graduating, but there were 350 people at this graduation. It was just packed out. It was amazing. This is a picture of a traditional dance. I think we have a video to show a traditional dance, a little clip of how they dance up in that area.
They were very excited to show us this dance. They're out from an area called Chin State, and that state, there's no foreigners allowed to go in. They still practice forced slavery there, so they have to come down to Yangon to do any learning or any open Christianity because it is not allowed in their state. It was so cool.
The students at this school, by the way, are roughly between the ages of 16 and 22. So this is not an older group. This is largely a younger group of students.
So during the week, they were separated into two different groups. I just wanted to show you the singing and how these girls sang. So from there, we went, after a week of learning and growing and hearing how Christ was moving in their lives, it was time for us to get a little bit of R&R.
So we headed out to the inland, the middle part of Myanmar, that's right in the interior, and we passed through this market, and there's several pictures of it. This lady was more than happy to show us her baby, and we went into the interior of the market where they sell a lot of their food. Anybody want fish for lunch? That's where you get it. This is the only way to access the place where we went, and that was by something called a longboat. And there we are heading out, and we saw some of the most amazing sights. This is the entrance to the lake, and we're packing it in there at about 5 miles an hour. So we're traveling along. Here's the entrance to the resort. This is a very typical scene. This isn't set up for tourism. You know, some areas in our country where you go and they have like traditional look just to give the appearance. This is actually the way that they live. This is how they fish or collect seaweed. These are the kind of homes that they live in, all on stilts in the water. That's right after I bought my hat. Okay, look at the way this guy is rowing. He's got his one hand on the oar and his right foot is on the oar, and he actually paddles the boat with his right leg. Isn't that amazing? That's typical of the people in that culture. More houses up on stilts. You wonder how some of them stay standing, right? It's not exactly code secure.
They also have gardens in this lake. It amazes me wherever you go in the world, people find ways to live in their own surroundings. And so they have raised gardens in the middle of the lake. Oh. There we are at our resort.
Yeah. Amazing. Just amazing. Some of you have asked how I managed with the spicy Asian food. Some of you know that it's not exactly my forte. It's actually really good, and we were able to have as many sight, sound, smell, taste experiences in 3 weeks as I think you could possibly condense into one time frame. It was just amazing.
That's pictures.
Okay. The last thing that I want to do is just share with you. Is that the end of the pictures? Okay. The last thing I want to share with you is just this, that the reason we went was to help this group of churches that is starting to develop there and the training of the leaders to really get focused on what the important things are, which is starting new churches in a lot of new places. As the government starts to open up and the country becomes more accessible, it's like a window of opportunity to share faith. And we were able to talk to them about the importance of it. But the thing that really impressed me so much was that the people there who are believers, because they struggle economically, because they struggle for their faith, because they're opposed by just the number of people who don't believe in what they believe, they have to really be serious and sincere. And they are incredibly serious about their faith. And they love Christ. They just love worshiping Him. And we're going to play a little clip of a song that these guys, 16 to 22-year-old guys, would sing while they were waiting for the class to start. So here they are. Look at the faces of the guys at the top. They learned some English.
Struck me while we were there is it's so different, and it was so different, but it was just the same. Yeah. People are the same. You know, you walk into a body of believers and you don't know anybody. You don't know what they're saying. You don't know a word of what it is, but they start singing, and I'm singing with them. I don't know what I'm singing, you know, but I'm catching the tune. And they open their hearts and their lives, and you go together. And because it's the same God, right? It's the same Spirit that is in me that is in people there. And maybe they spend their days picking rice, and they spend their days chopping down cane, and they have to make their dinner over a fire, and their life is a lot harder than mine. But the God they serve is the same God I serve. And so when I go to work on Monday morning, I go and I praise God. And when they go to the fields to pick something on Monday morning, they go and they praise God.
Right on. You know, I had us play that clip last because it really feeds into what we're going to do here the next couple weeks. Wednesday is the beginning of Lent, and this is the traditional season of the year where we spend about 40 days preparing ourselves to remember and to celebrate the death and the resurrection of Christ, right? That's the season of Lent. And what I want us to do is to kind of look at it with a new lens and to say, what is it, Jesus, that you have done for us? And we who live in this country where we have so much, how can we grow in our appreciation? And so much of the appreciation that I saw in the people there is what I think we could learn from and grow in. And so we're going to talk about that. Now, on the way in, you might have seen, there is a cup and a bulb, and Sherry and Paul put this together for us. I want a chance for everybody to have one, so I would say at least 2 per family, 1 for the adults, 1 for the kids. This is an Easter lily. I want you to take it home. There's a brief description of what to do on a sheet of paper, and go ahead and grow it, and if it grows at the right pace, then on Easter we're going to bring them back here and we're going to fill this place with Easter lilies. Won't that be great? But let the growth of this bulb be a reminder for you that through this season we have a chance to reflect, to really deepen our spiritual walk, and to grow in our love for Christ, for all that He has done for us. He's been crucified for us, and we are made new because of Him, all right?